morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Buzz. My name is Jake Rosen. I am the Senior Membership Manager here at the One Club for Creativity. Can I get some noise in the audience? Fantastic. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to Season 5, Episode 1 of Morning Buzz. Very exciting to have you all here. We are so excited to welcome you back to our home here in New York City. Today is going to be a very big day, so I need to get the energy levels up. I need to hear you all out in the audience. So on the count of 3, can I hear you make some noise for Creative Week? Wonderful. Okay, I know we have a lot of new faces in the room today, which is very exciting. Can I get a show of hands? Is this your first Morning Buzz? Have you been to previous seasons? Okay, very good, very good. Well, a very warm welcome to all of you. We are the One Club for Creativity. We are the world's foremost non-for-profit, celebrating the success of our global creative community. And that is all of you. Morning Buzz is our Hero Talks program. We love to spotlight our membership community, to uplift, to inspire, to celebrate our beautiful and wonderful, talented community from all across the world. We have a fantastic lineup of speakers today, and it truly is our great pleasure to spotlight their incredible work. So this week for Creative Week, some of you may be coming along to the Young Ones Awards. Can I get a show of hands who's coming to the Young Ones Awards? Some noise for Young Ones. Wonderful. Some of you might be joining us for the biggest night in art and design, the ADC Awards this Wednesday. Very exciting. And of course, this Friday, the one, the only, the One Show. Some noise for the One Show. Fantastic. Today for episode 1 of Morning Buzz, we are starting with a bang. We have an all-star lineup of speakers here today to chat people power, the minds driving the best in creativity. First, we'll hear from Ben Williams, Global Chief Creative Experience Officer at TBWA Worldwide. Then Choi Spruce, Executive Creative Director of PR, Social, and Influence at Ogilvy, will take to the stage. And finally, a collaboration with our friends at ADCOLOR in celebration of AAPI Month, Choi, owner of The Culture Whisperer and Community Lead at ADCOLOR. So, without further ado, it is my great pleasure to welcome our first guest. With a career spanning award-winning campaigns, groundbreaking experiences, he brings deep insight into what it takes to build meaningful, culture-shaping work. Please welcome to the stage, Ben Williams.
Thank you, Jake. Good morning, everyone. I apologize in advance. I am on the tail end of a cold, but good to see you all. Great to be here, and thank you to the One Club for the invitation to be here. Monday morning, so I'm impressed that the showing here this morning, Monday morning, nice and early, so good to see you all. Just for some context, before I get into my talk, I'm just actually going to share a little bit of just around team building and the role of creativity today and the teams that need to be sort of shaping the way and shaping creativity for the future. Some context, I'm 25 plus years in the industry. I've had the benefit of working across a number of different agencies here in the US and also back in Australia. I am the Global Chief Creative Experience Officer at TBWA Worldwide right now. So I've just had this sort of broader experience across different types of spaces and places and the different types of work. So this is just a little bit of a snapshot of just some of the work that I've been a member of the team, I've constructed teams for, and I bring this up because it just sort of sets the stage and sets some context for the types of teams and the types of creatives that are sort of in the mix to create some of the work here. And so I've sort of benefited from being a part of teams that have created classic sort of traditional TV campaigns, advertising campaigns, but also products and services, activations and the sort. So this is a sort of a broader perspective on just what it takes to create modern work that's relevant, future-facing work, and actually what are the teams that actually are behind some of those things. So sharing my insights and my experience around just creative teams and the construct and the sort of definition of a creative team, if you will. I think when we think of creative teams, the last evolution, the last time that was really sort of changed in a dramatic way was when Bill Bernbach here put art directors and copywriters in the same room. Traditionally or historically, it had been the writer would sit in a room, tackle the brief, hand off to an art director to kind of put some visuals together with it. But as we know, that was well over 60 years ago. So this is sort of, you know, it's well and truly kind of past its use by date, I would say, and sort of as we think about modern creative, as we know, the game has changed dramatically since, 60 or 70 years ago. Creativity used to serve campaigns. It was very driven by the media and the behaviors. It was TV, print, and radio. And so, today's world is really connecting with culture. Obviously, technology plays a huge role in that as well. So just thinking about the landscape of how people engage with brands and creativity in general has changed. So in turn, we need to evolve. And this is sort of when I say we as creatives, we as an industry, but just how we think about teams and how we think about constructing teams needs to evolve again. So that classic intersection of art and copy, what does that look like as we move forward? So art and copy was built for ads, as I said. Today we're really thinking about brand worlds, and you'll see a lot of work today that sort of tap into that. How do we build these kind of worlds for brands as opposed to classic TV spots or classic print or classic billboards, which are still relevant. It's more how do we augment that with other thinkers, other types of creatives. So how do we get there? I think more than ever, sort of creativity is a team sport. I don't think there's any one person or one type of creative that can create the work that's relevant today. I think it's a need to bring different types of creatives together under the banner of a creative team. So I thought, I'm a Celtics fan, so go Celtics. It's funny being here in New York. I lived in New York for 15 years, and so I'm here in New York, and I'm getting with this hat, I'm getting all the talk. But I thought there was something interesting about sports teams. I've benefited from being sort of at the intersection of creativity and my passion of sport for many years in big pieces of my career. And I've always thought about this. There's a lot of references and clues within the world of sport or any sporting team. I'm using basketball, but just how do we actually construct teams and high-performance sporting teams, and how can we actually use some of those clues that might be in there to construct creative teams? So these are the 5 things that I think, I look at a sporting team, or I think of the way that other types of teams are constructed and operate. Some 5 things that I've sort of observed over the years that I think we could apply to the creative industry and the way we construct and develop and operate creative teams today. The first one is welcome different. I think, I'm going back in the archives here with Manute Bol and Muggsy Bogues, but I think just the point is that, 5 LeBron Jameses or 5 Caitlin Clarks wouldn't be as good as a team that's leveraging the different skills and different perspectives of different people. So I think this is the idea that we just need to be more open-minded to welcome different people that are thinking about things differently, people who have had different life experiences, people that have got different skills and crafts to bring to the table, and actually get into how do we construct teams that actually get to that. So avoiding the trap of hiring just the same and the similar and the familiar, and actually getting into thinking about opening the door for people that are from different backgrounds, different skill sets, different crafts, like I said. I think the second one is really mastering the art of assemblage, and by this I mean it's one thing to welcome different thinkers and different makers into the mix of the creative team, but then as we tackle the brief, there's a different ask each time. The brief isn't the same thing. It's not just create a TV ad each time. The brief is different, so getting into this idea of looking at the brief and really interrogating what is the type of creative, what is the type of output that we want, and what are the type of thinkers and makers that we want in the mix to create that work. So really thinking about how do we assemble the right team for the right work and not being a one-size-fits-all every single time. The third one is really to avoid the relay races. I think, from a process perspective, I've seen the trap of these very linear kind of handoffs within teams, where there's this idea of the strategy people are the thinkers, and so they're sitting in a room and they hand off to the creative team who come up with a big idea, and then they hand off to the designers who make it look good, and then they hand off to the technologists who actually bring it to life from a technology perspective. So avoiding those kind of linear journey and those handoffs, and actually getting into more of a one team running at it together throughout the process. And so, avoiding, and I see this trap of presenting to each other. I see the creative team presenting back to the strategy team to get buy-in, or I get the designers presenting back to the ideas creatives, and so actually avoiding those internal presentations and just getting one team all buying into the idea at the start. The fourth one is really aligning on the common goal. I mean, just like a sporting team, I think if you talk to a point guard, a bench player, a superstar, everybody's in it for the same reasons. And I think the goal, for a sporting team is to win a championship and to win games. I think the same thing applies to creativity. I think it's easy to point out the differences in different types of thinkers and makers, but I think when you align and rally around a single goal or a common goal, it actually strips away all those differences, and you actually align on what actually makes us similar and focus on the similarities to get to that common goal. And then last but not least, there's going to be friction, and I think there's moments like with Eric Spoelstra yelling at Jimmy Butler. I think there's going to be moments of friction throughout the process. There's going to be different language used. There's going to be different perspectives. There's going to be different styles of how people think about creativity. But all that is part of the process, and to embrace that and not to shy away from it. I think it's easy to run away from that. Any sign of friction, it's not all going to be smooth sailing. And so to remember, this isn't easy. There is a difference between healthy friction and unhealthy friction. So obviously avoiding the unhealthy and stamping that out, but leaning into that uncomfortable kind of healthy friction where somebody's got a different point of view and sort of thrashing it out is actually where the magic happens. So what is the power of all this? And I wanted to get into some work, and I think when we assemble teams that are doing those things, much like a sporting team does, I think the work that sort of comes out of that is really different. And I think in a world where, to be completely frank, I think our industry is suffering a little bit of sea of sameness. I think work that really stands out today is sort of few and far between, and I think we have a real opportunity as an industry to kind of break through that and actually stand out. So the first piece I wanted to share is really, again, all this work is sort of born from teams that are non-traditional, have an X factor in the mix. It might be art and copy, but it might be art and copy with a creative technologist. Or it might be an experienced designer with a writer, whatever those combinations look like. This is a piece out of our New Zealand office that started from a brief that was really to sort of save women's rugby in New Zealand. And for those that know anything about rugby in New Zealand, it's like a passion, it's like a religion there. And this was really to kind of think about how do we save women's rugby, but ultimately it created something that's really shaping sports broadcasting for the future.
They said nobody cared about women's rugby. Well, guess what? We out here. We out here, fam.
When lack of coverage, promotion, and fan engagement pushed the New Zealand's Women's Rugby League to the brink of cancellation, principal sponsor 2 Degrees Mobile didn't just step in to save it. We revolutionized it. This is Reshaping Rugby, the world's first TikTok final.
Kia ora, no mai, haere mai to all you TikTok viewers out there. This is a game-changing event, a world-first live broadcast in vertical format. How good is this?
We made this happen by partnering 2 Degrees, the league, Sky Sports, and TikTok, and took women's rugby to where new audiences were.
Just throw out everything you've ever thought you've been told about a traditional sports broadcast, and just think fun and entertaining.
This will be the first time ever live sports has been produced using a separate production team and camera crew exclusively for a bespoke vertical format broadcast.
To pull this off, we didn't patch the TV stream into TikTok. We optimized live sports for real-time engagement, turning a 2-screen experience into one.
We're going to have polls, we're going to have comments. We want positive comments coming through.
Keep commenting, guys. Keep going on those polls because there's plenty more prizes to come your way.
So when the regular TV broadcast fell flat,
behind, Holmes was there.
our TikTok production got fans fired up.
Try the final. Let's go Blues.
In 80 minutes of non-stop fan engagement, we had over 180,000 live interactions, with 92,000 fans engaging with one brand the entire time.
All thanks to 2 Degrees.
Thank you, 2 Degrees.
Thanks to 2 Degrees. Thanks to 2 Degrees. 2 Degrees.
2 Degrees.
Thank you so much to 2 Degrees once again for making this all possible.
But that wasn't even the best part, because by saving the Women's Rugby League, we also reshaped live sports broadcasting forever.
We get to reach new people, new audiences, and I think it's changing the game.
A good example of just work that sort of gets born from, if you'd put an art director and a copywriter in a room, you wouldn't have come up with that. So I think it's just how do we augment those types of creatives with different thinkers to actually think about the problem and the solution in a different way. And that, just as an example, is Sky Sports now sees that and thinks about their entire sports broadcasting model. So really shaping kind of sports broadcasting and what that looks like. The next one, out of New York. This is out of Choi, New York, for LG, and this is really just understanding kind of consumer behaviors, especially on social media. And this is one that we know the doom scrolling in social media, and this is sort of taking that and actually applying optimism. So LG is all about life's good, is their kind of line, and how do we bring a bit of good and optimism to the world of algorithms and social media.
LG believes in the power of optimism to make life good. But for our hardest to reach audience, optimism is under threat.
Let's talk about TikTok.
Anxiety, depression, and eating disorders.
TikTok's algorithm is toxic, serving up millions of users with negative content, plunging them into spiraling doom loops with no way out. Until now.
LG has a new campaign that is aiming to bring more balance to your social media feed.
There's a new playlist from LG that's actually designed to retrain your algorithm.
LG has created this thing called Optimism Your Feed.
By using the same mechanics that trap users in negativity, we took TikTok's own playlist feature and turned it against itself, creating a tool that lets them hack their algorithm to serve positive content instead.
Right now, your algorithm is soaking up all of this good stuff.
Working with information scientists and influencers from around the world, everything in the playlist was crafted to game the system. Music engineered to boost engagement. Video lengths optimized to hypnotize the algorithm. Even sound frequencies were tuned to hit recommendation triggers.
That's your way of telling the algorithm you like this stuff and you want to watch more of it.
The tool purged For You pages of toxic content and refilled them with the good stuff, all while engaging a brand new audience. We didn't just change feeds across the world. We rewired TikTok's system from the inside, proving with technology and a little bit of optimism, we can make life good.
So join us, Optimism Your Feed, and make your For You page a place you actually want to be.
So this one was really good in terms of, a lot of this was still an art director and a copywriter creating content, but it was just applied in a different way, and it was understanding the algorithm and the technology side of things and the sort of algorithms of social media and how it could be applied and who's going to see it and when they're going to see it. So just a good example of this isn't about throwing away art directors and copywriters. This is about how do we actually augment that and use those in different ways with different combinations of talent. Next one is out of TBWA Hakuhodo in Tokyo. So, we work across McDonald's in various markets around the world. In this case, in Japan, the brief was really about how do we make McDonald's a place that Gen Z, the younger generation, wants to actually work at McDonald's to start their careers. And so the challenge was interesting. It wasn't necessarily an advertising brief. It was more about how do we solve a business challenge. And this was really how do we appeal to a younger generation to work at McDonald's as the start of their career. So interesting piece here called No Smiles.
In Japan, a country known for hospitality, everywhere you go, you are greeted with smiles. And McDonald's leads the way on this. Smiles are even on the menu, for free. You can even order them for delivery. But...
水とスマイルください。
スマイル6回はもう一回
笑ってねえよ。
スマイル0円とか最悪。
いや、俺のスマイルそんな安くないし。
マクドナルドでバイトマジで無理。
Smiles, McDonald's commitment to its customers, had become a barrier to recruiting Gen Zs. So, McDonald's decided to flip their basic principle on its head. We created an original song with Ano, an artist who never smiles, and that's why people love her. Her be yourself attitude has made her hugely popular among Gen Zs. The song went viral on TikTok and YouTube. We got twice as many views as the population of Gen Zs in Japan. Job applications hit a record high for McDonald's Japan and became Japan's most desired part-time job. This prompted McDonald's to rewrite their manual after being untouched for more than 50 years. This song has become a symbol of the Be Yourself work style movement, inspiring other companies. Because we only want you to smile when and how you really want to smile.
So just a good example of just the power of creativity to solve business problems, not always just marketing and advertising challenges. This is actually was getting to the heart of a business problem that, or a business challenge that McDonald's gave us. And also just understanding culture, understanding the Japanese culture and understanding the nuance of like the smile and what it meant to McDonald's in Japan specifically, and just knowing how to tackle that as well. So also, you know, work that just understood culture and different behaviors. And then lastly, I think this is a piece from a couple of years ago, but it's sort of getting into the next evolution of this, something also out of Japan, which is, you know, again, another piece that sort of takes a different shape in terms of what it is and what it's trying to do. This started as an environmental problem, and it's turned into a business opportunity for the client.
Shellmet. It is a helmet born from a shell. They are made by crushing discarded shells into small pieces, converting them into pellets, and pouring them into molds. The design used is ribbed shell structure inspired by biomimicry to achieve 130% higher strength than normal. The shell that protected the scallop was transformed into something that protects human heads. When it was sold throughout Japan as a specialty of the village, it became a big topic of conversation, especially on social networking sites. In 2025, it was adopted as the official helmet for the Osaka Expo, which aims to be sustainable, turning mountains of trash into mountains of treasure. Helmet.
So this is an interesting one, and initially when this was presented to me, I was like, a helmet really out of shell? It's actually, this material is actually super strong, and it's actually taking a lot of the waste off the beaches in certain areas where there's seafood being collected. The material itself is now being adopted by Sony for headphone cases and a bunch of things. So there's a whole sort of business model that's sort of born from this idea around this material specifically. So I know we're almost at time, but just to recap, I think just this is all that work that I just shared. I wanted to present that work because it was all work that had different shaped teams. I think they all probably had art directors and copywriters in the mix, but I think it wasn't just art and copy, and it's sort of that idea of just opening up the door and welcoming different and being open-minded to different types of creatives and thinkers and makers in the mix. Mastering the art of assemblage, like how do we curate teams so it's not a one-size-fits-all. Stop the relay races, let's get everyone in the room together thinking and making the work together. Aligning on a common goal, what's the ambition, what do we want to do with this work, and letting that define the similarities with us all and not the differences. And then also get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's messy, it's not always smooth sailing, it's a bit of a bowl of spaghetti type process, but at the same time, it can create some real magic too. So just want to thank you all for coming out this morning, and on to the next one.
Thank you so much, Ben. That was brilliant. An excellent way to kick off season 5 of Morning Buzz. How are we feeling out there? Was that insightful? Wonderful, wonderful. Alrighty. For our next guest, it is my great pleasure to welcome one of the experts of the industry. We all know how big a role social plays in today's world. So please welcome to the stage, Spruce from Ogilvy.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm Choi. I'm the Executive Creative Director at Ogilvy, New York. And my job is to oversee Earn First Creativity, and I'll get a little bit into what that means. But I work across most of our clients. I oversee mainly the L'Oreal group, but also oversee creatives working across Coca-Cola and some other clients as well. All right, so let's talk Earn. I think we've all seen work that really breaks through the algorithm. But I'm here today to show you what it looks like through a playbook. So what we know is that with the launch of TikTok, no two algorithms are the same. Everyone has a different For You page, which means that brands need to show up differently. It's no longer about creating a spot that then goes into a cut down on social. We need a new way to tap in. So that really calls for a multi-touch brand ecosystem in order to break through. It's, again, about how do we create endless moments and opportunities for our brands to engage so that we can break through in every single corner of the internet. And we know that mass culture now grows in a niche, right? Like it used to be mass culture started at the top with a TV spot with everyone tuning in at that same time, and now it grows off whatever you're interested in. So whether you like watching little frogs in tiny houses on TikTok or exploring audio that helps to calm you, it's about democratizing a way that brands have traditionally held power and seeing that now placed in the hands of the people. And also, that has allowed us to think of not only as our competitor within our category, but everyone is now our competitor. So it's when Kendrick Lamar drops a surprise album, or when Mischief has another viral campaign, or even a random creator that has now gone viral for doing something that's quite interesting. This is all our competition in this new attention economy. So how do brands today compete? It's really hard when you have creators that know and understand this in a better way than we have, right? Typically, brands are used to everyone having to listen to what you have to say. And now what we started to see is that creators are coming in and they're able to create content that speaks directly to our audience in the way that they care about. So essentially, they're starting to steal our lunch, and we need a new way in order to reach them. And I think we figured out a playbook. So, oh no, my guest, please. A new playbook is really about a calculated, coordinated content blitz, is what I call Earn First Creativity. And it's really a content plan that allows us to have a single narrative, but it's activated in tons of different spaces and corners of the internet. And it's really the holy grail of marketing. So those of you who are in New York or not, you've probably seen it when Snoop Dogg announced that he was done smoking. If you know Snoop Dogg, he's synonymous with being a cannabis smoker, etc. Or when the Severance popped up here at one of our busiest train stations in New York City, it's about creating interesting creative that gets talked about and breaks through the noise and the clutter that we see every single day on our feeds. The favorite thing I love about Earn First Creativity, though, is that it's very collaborative, it's iterative, it's dynamic, and it's all powered through the lens of audience listening, right? So my team is always in the scroll, in the For You page, what's happening on culture, and how do we take a great insight or a behavior that our audience is into and turn that into a creative idea that they can not only care about, but that they can participate in. And what I like to say is it's about planting fires, right? So planting little fires everywhere and really inviting that audience in so that they also become a bit of advertising for our brand as well. So the more opportunities you get somebody to talk about something and that's showing up in their feeds and their friends' feeds, or they're sharing in messages or DMs, etc., it's allowing your brand to reach spaces that traditional advertising can no longer reach. And it allows us to really bridge that gap between creativity and media. It used to be miles away where we used to create something that was just broadcast out, and now it's allowing us a different spin on what that looks like. So I like to call our Earn First Creative POV little fires everywhere. And it allows us to, again, ignite sparks in all different ways to reach our audience, whether it's through an out-of-home campaign with some Earn Social, or it's also through an experiential campaign that allows people to come and experience the brand in real life. And I'll demonstrate that through a recent campaign I've done with L'Oreal's brand Essie, which is a nail care brand. So Essie came to us with a brief. They had a new polish that lasts for 15 days of flawless wear, and they wanted to reach people who just didn't have time to stop at a salon and get their nails done. So we know that millennials are really masters of that multi-hyphenate hustle. Whether you're going to class and then after work you're creating videos, etc., you're always on the go, always on the grind. So that was our target. And here in New York City, there's no one who works harder than a 7-foot-tall elephant named Big Ellie, who is the mascot for the 2024 champion New York Liberty team. But despite all of the riz, all of the carpet, etc., Ellie was missing one thing. She gets her hair done often. She always has the latest look. She's worked in collab with a lot of brands and entertainers. But she didn't have nails. So we gave her some with the only polish that could match her hustle. What I love about this campaign is our clients gave us a lot of trust in order to be able to execute it. So we'll just break it down play by play. So we sparked curiosity with creator fueled intrigue. What we wanted to do was to really create curiosity around what the brand was doing, what Ellie was doing. So did something a little bit different than most of us do in the industry, which is we invited creators on our set, but we also invited our editorial partners as well in order to create their own custom content off of one singular shoot. So you'll see here, these are some of the creators that we were able to work with who kind of spotted Ellie out and around, but nobody quite knew why Ellie was on the streets of New York City. And then from there, we partner with creators. Like, I'm not on set directing somebody like Johnny who runs Watching New York, right? He knows his audience very, very well. So it's just, Johnny, what do you need in order to get the shot in the video that's going to make your audience engaging and make sure that our content travels in the spaces we want it to. And then we let the elephant out of the bag. So the day that the campaign went live, we launched with an editorial exclusive with Hypebae and Women's Health. One was a .com exclusive, and then one was a social exclusive. So again, really segmenting our way into the space to make sure that we not only were able to pull in additional .com headlines, but we were also able to break through organically on social. And this launch was completely 100% organic and done with a budget of less than $400,000. And then you can see here how our editorial campaign launched. One of the cool things we did was to capture content on set that we sent directly to Hypebae and also to some other editorial partners, and they posted that out on their social channels. But it wasn't our hero video that we launched for our client, Essie. And then we also, at the time of the campaign, this was a huge trend on social, so we were able to be in the moment and reactive. And we created our very own starter pack featuring Ellie and her Essie polish. And this was the most engaged post that I think our client had since 2024 across their channels. And again, real time. And then the last phase was we really put the nails to the test. So we really wanted to drive home that product RTB, that it lasts. So we did a video with Ellie, who had attended the WNBA draft moment, as well as some other creators that just showcased that new polish that we gave Ellie really did last and could stand that grind. And in 24 hours, our influencer and our own content broke through the noise. Media got hooked. The comment sections really were lit. But most importantly, the sales spiked for our client, allowing them to have a double-digit increase in a market that was decreasing in a double digit. So it really was able to drive sales. They had their first $1 million week, and they're doing quite well by launching the campaign this way. It was very, very risky for our client to launch with an elephant and a Manny, and we had to sell it through so many different layers. But I'm really excited that they were able to really believe in this idea and help us champion it. And then you'll see, which is the best thing, is that we wanted an idea that can kind of live for a little bit longer. So we've worked out a 1-year partnership with the New York Liberty. So when Ellie has specific media moments, she'll also have those nails on. So giving our brand another opportunity to get mentioned. And you'll see they also did a recent partnership with Rihanna. Really cool to have your campaign mentioned among the greats. But it's really nice that we are really forging a path ahead for both beauty and sports, which is having a big moment right now in the country. And you'll see here, as they're getting on their run for the first home game this weekend, Ellie's nails are still getting that organic chatter. So stay tuned for what's next. And then just to recap a little bit, the way we break down our earned and our Little Flyers playbook is, again, how do we spark intrigue? So the idea must always be rooted in an audience behavior or truth. And then how do we stop that scroll, right? So it has to be entertaining, it has to invite you in, and it has to be something that's so surprising that you'll actually care about it and either want to like, share, or save that. And then how do we share the mic? It's not only about a one-way message anymore of us just broadcasting to ourselves sometimes, but how do we invite other people in to share their own POV or their own spin on our story? And some of the most popular content from the campaign wasn't posted on our own channel. It was through some of those editorial partners that we had. And with that, I think that process allows us to win the internet brief by brief, no matter what the client is asking for, because it just works. And with that, thank you.
You can hold on to that. Thank you so much, Cha. That was excellent. So wonderful to have you with us here today. We've probably got a few questions in the room for Cha. Anyone got a question for Cha before we move on to our final segment for today?
Nobody.
We've got a hand at the back there.
Sure.
We've just got a microphone coming your way.
What do you mean by editorial partners and that, like, working with the brand?
So essentially, I work very closely with our PR team. So we're always thinking about, like, how does our idea get it mentions in PR and editorial coverage? So what we did was we contracted, or we worked with two editorial outlets. So it was Hype Bay and Women's Health in order to secure exclusive. So we had to send them like our photos ahead of time, and then they posted at a set time before other media were able to pick up that campaign.
So when you're working with such, like big ideas, like, hey, let's partner you with Ellie the Elephant, how do you come to a place with your clients where you're building enough trust with them that they feel they're going to give you guys the creative reins? Like, what's that process look like for y'all?
Oh my gosh, this campaign would not have happened without the trust of my client Zoe, who was my lead client. And I think what enabled that trust was her understanding that I understood social very, very deeply, and kind of holding her hand along the journey. Like, there were slides we presented on like who Ellie is. And one thing about that particular client is that there's another piece, right, in France that oversees L'Oreal. So we also have to translate that. We had to also have to translate that for an international audience. So there was a lot of time spent showcasing who Ellie is, why this was important, but why this idea was great enough that it would eventually break through. So there was a lot of risk taking on that side, but I think folks were just like subservient. It's an elephant, and they were just like, let's run with it.
Wonderful. We probably have time for one more if there's one in the audience, right up the back.
Hi. I saw in the presentation that there was like the toy image that, I don't know how to say it, sorry, that was like trending for a while, you know? But what do you think about other brands do it because it is trendy, and they start and they look at you and say, look, they are doing it, we are going to do it, and the other one is going to do it, and becomes like more like a client thing than organic thing it becomes, right? So what do you think about the brands start doing that? Like they are losing their thing, or they are just getting into because people are getting into, or they can do it, but they have to match it with what they do?
I think my first response, I was going to give you the PR answer, but I'll be real. I think it can get a bit corny when audiences or brands especially tap in on the same thing. It's that sea of sameness that Ben talked about, right? So it's about how you stand out. I think when we launched this campaign, it was right in the thick of it before everybody hopped on and we had our real space. If you go and look at the comments on that post, people are really excited about it, and they asked us to actually make that dial a real thing. So we're working on that in the background, fingers crossed, hopefully. But I do think that brands need to do more than just jump on a trend, because after a while, it just gets tired, and who cares? You need to figure out, how are you different? What makes you different? Why should I engage with you? Again, how do you add value to a conversation and not just show up to participate because everybody is doing it? That doesn't help grow your brand or your business.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cha. Big round of applause to Cha. For our final segment today, we are thrilled to partner with our friends at ADCOLOR to spotlight the amazing work of our AAPI community. Please welcome to the stage, Choi.
we doing? Man, I can feel the ambition in the room. Such a beautiful sight from here. Monday morning, we love it. I am not as cool as my counterparts. I'm actually a strategist, so I'm a fake creative. It's why I have to dress like an art director. But nevertheless, we will get through some really cool creative things to look at. So as mentioned, my name is Choi. I am a proud member of the One Club, but I'm also here representing ADCOLOR, so I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about it. I'm one of their community leads, which is why I'm here today. I'm also New York-based, so it's quite convenient. But if you don't know about ADCOLOR, we are also a nonprofit. However, we are highly focused and centered on DEI within the professional creative space. So we are all focused on making sure that we have representation across different areas of the work, across teams. And so for us, one of our main focuses and our mantras is rising up and reaching back. And so we do that through a couple of different ways, through evergreen programming throughout the year, but we also have our big conference and award show that we have every year. So little small subtle shameless plug, if you want to come, you should come check it out this year. The conference is going to be in November. Get your travel budgets and get your approvals now, but we'd love to see you there. But on the topic of diversity, happy Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. That is the month of May. It's a special time in the sense that we get to celebrate all the different types of work that have come from people that are AAPI, which is what we wanted to focus on today. So on that note, we're going to hit on creative excellence, and that's what we wanted to focus on. A lot of Heritage Months can feel like you have to only focus on the important conversations. We definitely feel like we can celebrate some of the great work that is going out there by our peers. So what do we mean by creative excellence, especially for our community? So first, creative, it's very much so yesteryear in the last generation as far as like Asian Americans, we've got to be doctors and engineers. That is very, very outdated. We are finally coming into this moment where we have reached excellence in the sense that a lot of Asian creatives and Asian-centric work is making it out there into the world and into the mainstream. If you've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, like sweeping the Oscars, if you've seen any of these other people come across your feeds or across your media, you can kind of get the sense that it's on the rise. And so that's what we want to bring a little bit of light to. And that said, what better week than Creative Week? It just so happens to fall in this month every year. And for the One Show, what we wanted to do is actually look at and get ourselves in the Creative Week spirit and look at some of the past work of last year's winners. We wanted to find some of the AAPI talent that was behind some of the work, the ones that are actually like right at the start and the heart of the projects that are winning these awards. And it just so happens that we've got 3 Best of Discipline winners from last year. So we've got the Best of Creative Effectiveness, Out of Home, Best of Social Media, which Choi actually worked on as well. But what we did is we actually found these folks, and they were so generous with their time. They were down to hop on an interview with us and kind of give us a couple of nuggets of how to approach creativity in their own unique way and what their approach is, all in hopes to share some of the nuggets of wisdom with y'all today as well. And so we're going to watch some case studies and learn from them a little bit. So with that, the first one, Adidas Runner 321. This was worked on half of the creative team that actually came up with, well, not half the creative team because we're going to change the mold of creative teams. We're going outside of that structure. But Sally Fung, one of the people behind the actual concept, she's an ACD over at FCB Canada and was one of the brilliant minds behind this. So we'll watch this.
Number 10! His famous number 3. 23 is back.
When I was a kid, I rarely saw anyone who looked like me in mainstream sports. And now, we're chasing that.
321 signifies the chromosome that causes Down syndrome.
Break. So Adidas is creating a number to represent the Down syndrome community.
Now, just like every other sport, running has an iconic number.
Adidas is calling on every major marathon to hold bib 321 for an athlete with Down syndrome so that more athletes will see themselves represented in mainstream sports.
It's time we shall run 321 every race. Bring forward the most successful
Chris Nikic made an impression on everyone who saw that moment at the finish line at the October Boston Marathon. Chris, such an inspiration.
Yes.
We are really excited to be holding Runner 321 bib for all of our races this year.
I want everyone like me. This is hard sport for them too.
Bib 321 will inspire a whole generation of runners.
So good. Oh, man. I know the AC's blasting, but I got chills for other reasons. I don't know about y'all, but I love that work every time I see it. So now that we saw the outcome, we wanted to go a little bit behind the scenes of like what it took to get to that work. And so we actually got to chat with Sally Fung and interview her and learn a little bit more about it. And I think one of the first things about the backstory for this project is, and hopefully it's really inspiring and everything that Choi shared as far as the importance of earned and social and ideas that really break through the feed. The interesting thing about this is that it actually, the deliverable is just a social post to start. And so to see this evolve in the way that it did, to the fact that it's actually creating movements in social policy is something that, hey, it started with a simple social post of deliverable. So hopefully you can treat that that brief a little bit differently as far as seeing what the outcome can be from that. So the one take that Sally had for us is universal is undefeated. And what she was meaning by this is in the sense of human insights. Now, human insights, you can argue that they have different types of insights that are out there. As a strategist, I can definitely agree with that. But we're more so talking about the depth of these. We're talking about human insights that are on the universal level. I think it's pretty safe to say that a lot of the work today is very like stunty. It's very like poppy. It's very flashy out there. At the same time, how long is it lasting? Is it seared into the back of our minds? Is it something that we truly resonate with, not just relevant to us? So as far as universals undefeated, some of the things that Sally shared with us is solve for the soul, live inside the problem, and ideate for borderless emotion. Solve for the soul. What she meant here was that there comes a point where you are looking at a brief and looking at the problems and the challenges that are being faced, but you need to get into the crevices of some of the nuances of the experience to really create something that could eventually create momentum and create a movement as well. And then for live inside the problem, she, as soon as she got that brief, I mean, this is probably an extreme, but she actually started reading books on Chris Nikic, who was the sponsored athlete from Nike, started listening to podcasts and interviews about his experience just to put herself in the runner's shoes and understanding what accessibility within the marathon space is like. And so really, really digging deep. And lastly, we've got ideate for borderless emotion. Especially if you are starting to work on global type work or even focusing on different types of audiences that are out there. Human insights and the ones that really have that universality are borderless. They're the ones that don't really need translating. They resonate on such a deep human level that it's something that anyone from any walk of life can relate to. Going a little bit into Sally's background, she was actually raised in Hong Kong and then came over to Vancouver at a young age. And so at that point, she was I guess, venturing into a new culture. And when you're exposed to one culture and then moving to another, you definitely have a different lens and you have different perspectives, understanding how things that are similar across different cultures can translate or be expressed completely differently. And she credits a lot of her ability to see some of those nuances and some of those gaps that are available for creative opportunities to that. All right, next we've got the best of out of home. And that's the Coors Lights Out work. And this is created by Nick No, who is an ACD over at Rethink. And we'll watch this case study.
There's one driven to right down the line toward the corner. That is foul.
Put a little indentation into the can of Coors Light.
Shohei Ohtani. He's the greatest baseball talent in the history of the sport of baseball.
He is to Japan what Messi is to Argentina.
make up a commemorative series of cans. It has a locked out area, like when Choi broke their neon sign.
Coors Light has done some of the best reactive marketing that I've seen in a while.
The top 5 best marketing campaigns in sports history.
It's especially impressive because Coors Light is not even the official beer of MLB, nor is Shohei Ohtani a Coors Light sponsored athlete.
やること早いですよね。8月26日のこのハプニングを逆手にとって。
So fun. I love that one so much. Nick and team killed it. One thing that Nick shared with the backstory for this one is kind of like Sally as well. Actually, the only approved deliverable in the beginning, or out of all the creative approvals, was one social post. And so to go from one social post being approved in 48 hours, going to out-of-home placements, going to creating an absolutely new product is insane. Probably arguably an unhealthy amount of time to work on something 48 hours. But it just shows that starting small can lead to really winning big. And so award-winning work hardly begins with a master plan. It begins by giving a spark its momentum, because so many of these sparks these days, they just never see the light of day. And so what Nick was talking about when elaborating on what he meant by this is launch fast, not flawless, always stretch ideas wider, and then stay scrappy, scale smart. So launch fast, not flawless. I think a lot of us that have been in the industry for a while, or you might experience if once you're going into the industry, we love big meetings. We love waiting for big 360 IAT briefs. But really, the most important thing is just getting some of the initial work out there, creating some of that momentum. Nick was sharing like a great analogy about sometimes we are trying to sell this massive tent when really the first thing we need to sell in is a stake in the ground. And so building some of that momentum, just like getting some work out there in the door, that way work doesn't get killed before it even goes live. The next is always stretch ideas wider. He emphasized the fact that you almost have to be a little dual-minded when working like this in this kind of dynamic. So first, you're trying to get work out into the world. You're getting very executional, very tactical. But at the same time, in the back of your mind, you have to have that creative vision of like, what can this become? How can we evolve this even more? So constantly saying what if while you're still getting everything done at the same time. And then lastly, we've got stay scrappy, scale smart. As you can imagine, there were probably a lot of twists and turns within the 48 hours. But he was mentioning that it's really important to not only keep your composure during this time, but also to make sure that you are being comfortable with some of those things that are a little more ambiguous, like being okay with that uncertainty. And this is where he gave a lot of credit to being resourceful and creative problem solving, because that was a lot of his upbringing. He came over from Korea over to Canada, and this is where he honestly had to play translator for his family a lot of the time. So as children of immigrants, like most of us know, we're also kind of playing the mediator between two cultures and wearing the weight of two cultures as well. And so that's how we learned to really flex that muscle of maintaining composure and being resourceful and problem solving in ways that most probably aren't thinking about. Oh, and then lastly, we've got DoorDash, all the ads, best of social media. And this is Rashida Hassan, one of my dear beloved friends, a senior strategist over at Wyden Kennedy.
This year, DoorDash didn't just make a Super Bowl ad. We delivered all the other Super Bowl ads.
The company says it will deliver products from every ad aired.
One lucky person picked to win a product from every single
Super Bowl ad. So everything from fried chicken to mayonnaise to a car.
Listen, we don't know what the commercials are, so it could be a BMW,
Doritos,
Kia, Volkswagen,
even a tub of mayonnaise.
There were so many ads, we turned an influencer into a reporter to keep track of everything.
It's your official DoorDash Dashpondent. See all this? As things pop up, they will add more to this list. Popeyes, 1,000 wings, $20,000 towards a vacation. Where would you go?
Costa Rica with my wife.
Every time an ad aired, we update our cart with a corresponding prize in real time in an ever-growing X thread. And then, 76 ads into the game, we aired our ad that got you all the ads.
DoorDash all the ads 2024 promo code. DoorDash.
It was a simple call to action with a not-so-simple 1,813 character promo code.
Dash overwhelming.
Our Dash spawned and even live stream clues on TikTok and Instagram.
Pause. Who did this? Look at that. That's good. Live, dash, love. Mom, did you do that? This was very sneaky. Unpause.
Our multi-platform approach mobilized social to crack the code together. On Reddit, the code was solved in under an hour. Cash App users tried selling it. People even missed the end of the game trying to solve it.
Hartman! Jackpot! Kansas City!
Talk about engagement. This adds to the fun for people that aren't football fans.
A Super Bowl viewer just won a product from every ad aired.
This person's so lucky.
DoorDash announcing the winner. Total prize includes 2,468 items.
I think that the lesson here is that DoorDash can actually DoorDash anything.
Even the Super Bowl.
Oh, so great. I love this work. Not gonna lie, I was one of the people that just went to Reddit to try to find the answer. I was definitely not typing all of that. But a little bit about the backstory that Rashida was sharing with us. What I love about this is like the craft that was really shown through the simplicity of the idea. It's honestly just like really fun and entertaining. But what she mentioned was that it was really easy to look at the Super Bowl and just be like, okay, big moment in the nation. How do we talk to football fans? But what they did is they really interrogated strategically and creatively as well, really understanding all the different motives behind why people watch the Super Bowl these days. It's no longer just about people caring about the final two teams. They were looking into things like different motives of like people that just want the 7-layer dip at the event, people that just want to see ads like us, or people that just wanted to know what Taylor Swift was wearing. So really interrogating what are all the different reasons people are watching it. One of the best like off the record quotes that she had was one of the advertisers was ATVs. I don't give a shit about ATVs, but I have to respect that other people like ATVs. And so we have to understand people's different motives and whatnot as well. So for her hot take, her one take is empathy as a creative weapon. Award-winning ideas come from understanding what actually makes people care, not blanket statement fluff. I think it's so easy to get into really generic gen pop insights, but really understanding the core motives of all the different segments or fragments of your audience. So the 3 tenets that she shares with us is respect why people care, honor scary, unprecedented ideas, and turn difference into advantage. We kind of mentioned to respect why people care, but digging into the different motives of the audiences, that's something that she really understood growing up as the first generation Asian American woman that she is in her household, being the first to enter in a couple of rooms. A lot of things are unprecedented, which brings us to the second point. Honor scary, unprecedented ideas. She shared with me that, of course, in the production of it all and leading up to the work, there were a lot of things that were unexpected. There were curveballs. There was actually even a point where the NFL said, no, we're not airing this ad. Like, that would probably stress me the hell out. So they had to roll with the punches, and this is where if you truly have an unprecedented idea and this concept that your whole team is rallying around, it can feel scary. However, that feeling of fear is actually more so a signal or a confirmation that you're probably doing the right thing. You're probably breaking the molds of how things are traditionally done. And lastly, we've got turn difference into advantage, and Charles probably felt this being on the team, but this was the first time that a lot of the clients, a lot of the Wyden team, a lot of the across disciplines as well, the first time a lot of people were working together. As you can imagine, that can probably be a lot of different opinions. It can easily become adversarial, but having that unifying idea of bringing everyone together and then also helping people see that your differences are actually an advantage that can make the entire team better was something that really drove home for them. So to wrap it up, we hope that you got a little clearer of a sense of like what went behind some of the work. We hope you gained a little better sense of the AAPI Creative Excellence that's going out there today, and we hope that you have a killer creative week. So go out there and go make something excellent. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Sean. That was excellent. So wonderful to have Sean here today. And that brings us to the end of Morning Buzz for Episode 1, Season 5. How was that for everyone? Can I get some noise? Good. Wonderful, wonderful. We are back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 a.m., same place. We hope we'll see you there. Thank you all so much for coming and joining us today. We hope you have a great creative week, and congratulations to all the young ones who will show up tonight. Thank you so much.